This is a story I wrote for the salon itself. It's called Cranes of the Brisbane River. At 4, I see the first of many cranes swarming in the Brisbane River. They dip cumbersome necks to sift mud, looking for crayfish between their legs. I'm watching all of this from a bridge when they spot me, and of course they don't care. They're just trying to eat before beginning work again later in the day. I'm in the doorway of my apartment before it occurs to me that I have no idea how they swallow. I then spend hours thinking about the intricate throat systems of cranes. On adventurous nights, they drift up toward Milton, and I notice their long, tessellated legs from my balcony. At 5 or 6, a council worker comes waist deep into the water to herd them back. They go easy before the first fingers of sunlight. The next morning, I came down to the bank, hoping to talk with the council worker. Janice was her name. Every day, she would urge the cranes out of the river and into the city to resume their places on site. In more or less the same words, but there was no easy way to do it. The younger cranes were more likely to wander back into the city of their own accord and resume working without any trouble. Apparently, issues developed the older they got. Janice recounted an old crane that became disorientated. It made its way into the Bay of Brisbane, where it terrorized a fish market for 2 hours before she arrived to coax it back toward the CBD. The thing consumed 27 ice trays of mud crab and scattered a shipment of tiger prawns into the ocean in its confusion. "What can you do?" she said. "They're temperamental." Contradicting what I previously thought, most cranes drown before they're decommissioned. The event Janice described was not an isolated one, and it seemed that the older the crane became, the more inclined it was to continue further into open water. It propels itself with its legs to swim, as a cell might, when maneuvering flagella. Some are lucky to travel 12 kilometers from the coast before they become exhausted and go limp in the sea. I asked Janice how a crane swallows, and she told me she didn't know. There was a lot she didn't know. For instance, Janice had no idea why a crane's memory steadily declined the older they got. The ones that didn't drown would slowly forget the way back to their sites. Then they'd forget how to work. Eventually, they'd forget to traverse the shallows of the river and how to eat. It's more thoughtful in these instances to dismantle them in the early stages so that they don't suffer. Taken apart, they're melted down to metal for the bodies of cars and scaffolding. I asked Janice if I could accompany her while she worked the next day. "It isn't that exciting," she said. "That's all right," I replied. "It's out of my own personal curiosity." In the morning, we walked into the water, stopping before the base of a crane as it came up with a throat full of silt and crayfish. Tilting back, it let the bulk of this mixture down, only to fall through the lattice ports in the side of its neck. Janice made exaggerated hand movements at the cranes, doing her best to drive them toward the city. "You can help if you want to," she offered. And for a few moments, I did, gesturing for these machines to work to return to the shore and back to work. I watched them turn their angular throats toward the city, devoid of the last portion of morning breakfast, their blinking lights and company logos finding places to rest between the high buildings of the CBD, becoming scenery, daydreaming of fish markets and their endless crustaceans. Thank you.